Morning to everyone. Great to see you. And this is really the great news that we still have international and domestic investors. So let me give you some reflections on what's happened in the last 30 days and what kind of plans we have on a long-term and short-term perspective. The agenda I personally had in my government were as follows. The first one is to restore the governance in the country. We received an entirely dismantled state machine with no prosecutor's office, with no court system, with no government. What we got entirely inefficient state body. The second issue, very challenging for us, was war. And I would even say is war. This government is a wartime government. And what we did, we prevented a military operation of Russian Federation invading eastern and southern Ukraine. But despite this, Russia made an aggression and conquered and grabbed a part of Ukrainian territory, which is Crimea. And this has heavily affected both political and economic situation in our country. The third issue is a political association agreement with the European Union. We did it. We've signed the first part, an important one, with our European partners, having split this deal into two parts. The first one is a political one, the second one is an economic. All member states signed the political part, and on the economic issues we decided not to postpone but probably make some kind of pause and to sign an economic part after the presidential elections. But despite this, European partners unilaterally applied all economic perspectives or all economic benefits for Ukraine, and we believe that the European market is to be open for Ukrainian goods and for Ukrainian trade, starting with the 15th of May. Next issue is to restore talks with international investors, international donors, and international financial organizations like the IMF. We've started this process, and we consider to accomplish this process as soon as possible. And in order to reach the target, the Parliament last week passed a number of austerity measures and passed an amended budget which could pave the way to economic recovery. And most important and challenging one is whether we are ready to implement real reforms. Yes, we are, but what we have been doing before is not the reforms. This is the painkillers to rehabilitate or to defibrillate Ukrainian economy, not to allow the country to die. The next step which needs to be undertaken is to launch vast, comprehensive and serious reforms in all areas. We do understand that we are facing a political challenge, which is presidential elections. But despite this, we have no time to wait, we have no time to waste. We need urgently to start step-by-step reforms in all sectors, starting with the energy and ending with the constitutional reform. And I would like to reiterate again that an economic package of reforms is more or less clear, but on the constitutional reform, which is to restore the balance of powers and which is to present the vision of every region and every single Ukrainian voter in this constitution, is still ambiguous. We expect that the draft bill on the constitution is to emerge in 2 weeks, and much will depend on whether political forces are ready to make real political and economic reforms. It wasn't an easy job to grab 258 votes to pass the austerity package. and we need to amend this austerity package, and I insist and I ask the parliament to support another draft legislation which is already prepared by the government and needs to be urgently passed in the parliament next week. And the same goes with the Ukrainian constitution. We as the Ukrainian government already explicitly showed our political position, what kind of constitution the country needs. And yesterday I met the chairman of the Constitutional Commission to show to the Ukrainians that political forces are ready for both political and economic changes. Few numbers, what we expect to get in the year 2014. The macroeconomic picture is not as good as it could be, but despite this, it's not as worse as we expected. We expect a negative GDP growth minus 3%. We expect inflation up to 14%. We expect the flexibility of the exchange rate, which is not to be an over-flexibility. We believe that in case if we resume our program with the IMF and with the European Investment Bank, with the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, with the World Bank, we can not only impose an austerity measures, but underpin Ukrainian economy with some tools that can boost economic growth. Due to the fact that the government is very tough on the budget expenditures, the layoffs in the public sector would be about 10%, and this would definitely hamper our data on our redundancy data or unemployment data. But this is the price we need to pay for our reforms, and this is the price we need to pay for the future of Ukraine. I do believe that you will ask a number of questions relatively to the gas bill, to utility bills, to what kind of reforms we will undertake in another sectors.